Welcome to the Land of Bet Sports Betting Show. Game 3 here on Wednesday night. Back in Indy now for this game. Going to be looking at some insights for this one, the matchups that we've seen so far, what we can project here for Game 3 as well. Definitely looking like it's going to be a closer game. The market thinks so, with just about a 5.5 point spread in favor of OKC right now. And I've got some stats that kind of back that up in terms of why Indy should at least keep this close, if not prevail with another win. So we're going to take a look at all that. Quick reminder too, for those of you guys following along with the ladies, we do have the WNBA season pass still live, so you can jump into the VIP Discord, get some of these NBA finals picks for the last couple games, and then just get in there for the WNBA, where we're putting plays down every day, in addition to that VIP chat that you get access to with all of the cappers in there. So hope to see you guys in there. But for now, let's jump into everything we've got for Wednesday night's NBA Finals Game 3. I know I've been slacking on giving you guys the updates here on what we're doing in the playoffs. Thought I would get back into it now that I have a little bit more time on my hands, now that the baby girl is like 3 weeks old as opposed to just days old. I can get back into it a little bit with you, and didn't want to just come back in after I hit a whole bunch of bets here on Wednesday night. So just showing you 2 and 4 from Sunday, minus 2.3. But other than the 2 bets we hit, just going right down to the ones we lost. SGA got that assist with about a minute and a half left in garbage time. That was so painful. So painful. Hartenstein, I'm just still kicking myself. Like, I loved the rebounds. And then when I looked at his numbers, PR combined, in the minutes that I projected for him, which were 22, which is what he played, at 22 minutes, he's at about 16.8 points and rebounds combined per game. No reason to get cute with it when the only thing I liked was the rebounds in the first place. So outsmarted myself. And then Pascal and Nemby were the victims of not playing in the fourth quarter. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. But Rick Carlisle basically gave up with about, 8 minutes left in that fourth quarter. Only played Pascal like 3 minutes, played Nembhard about 3 minutes. That really dicked us there, as we only needed 1 or 2 more PR and PA from those guys to get our overs there. So we move on, still up 36 units on the season. We're going to keep taking that and get right into what we've got for Game 3. The notes I've got here for Game 3, Indy gave up early. Like I said, those Q4 bets were just, the Q4 minutes rather, skewed those Game 2 bets. That's where we are. We move on, though. I think, again, this one's going to be closer, and that's going to be the theme of this episode, is this game should be a lot closer than the double-digit blowout we saw in the last game. OKC did win the rebounding in the last game, 45-37 there. They had a 53% rebound success rate there, and Hartenstein played 22 minutes, about 5 more than he played in the prior game, got the 8 boards. That was definitely a big part of all that. The other part was OKC capitalized on the turnovers a bit more. Just 15 from Indy as opposed to like 24, what they had in Game 1, but we did get 14 points off of that from OKC. That definitely helped as well. 16-point victory for them in that one. Now, here's the key, and this is what I'm going to show you a little bit more in depth here in a second, which is the OKC playoff splits between home and away. Just starting with their true shooting percentage. It's 59.5% at home, 53% away in the playoffs. So a big sort of regression comes for OKC on the road, which makes sense when you think about one of the things we're always concerned about with them is, are their role players going to be able to hit shots? And on the road, it's always going to be harder for those role players to hit theirs. The last thing I want to point out here, and I'll talk about this when I get into the SGA prop shortly, he's only getting double teamed close to the basket, man. They're really not bringing consistent double teams anywhere around the 3-point line. It's when he's either on the baseline or when he gets into the lane. And really, once he gets into the paint, that's when you see help defenders finally start to come. I got to imagine that Carlisle is going to bring a few more of those doubles earlier in the clock. And when he's further away from the basket, really in this series so far in the first 2 games, they're not really doubling him until we get into the fourth quarter. This is what I wanted to show you, though, the difference between them at home and them away. 9-2 in the playoffs at home, 4-3 on the road. 121 offensive rating at home, 108. That is such a massive disparity. It has to be talked about. I don't love to bring up home away too often unless there's something glaring staring us in the face. And that's what this offensive rating disparity is. And that's what this true shooting percentage is as well, which obviously those constantly go hand in hand. True shooting is something that takes into consideration how difficult the shot was, 3s versus 2s, and then free throws are taken into consideration as well. 53% true shooting versus about 60 for them. That's a really big difference. And again, it's because these role players, especially Lou Dort, who we're going to talk about here in a minute, just plummet in terms of their contributions in the playoffs on the road versus when they've played at home. Nothing major to show you here with the matchups. Pretty much the same stuff as we put the Pacers on defense. Going to see this the same way that we've seen it so far in this series here, as we've seen Kayson Wallace start, which kind of switches up the way that these matchups work. But everything's going to stay the same here. Turner and Holmgren guarding each other basically the whole game. And then on the other side of the ball, Dort is going to be living inside Halliburton's jersey. Wallace on Nembhard, SGA on Nesmith, which has led to a few more rebounds for him, except for last game. We'll talk about that with him again. And then J-Dub on Siakam and Chet and Miles, just basically basically guarding each other the whole game. But let's jump into these player props that I'm looking at here for game 3. As always, using Props Madness here on the show. Very good for both the ladies and the men's sports for hoops and all things player props. This is the most efficient way to get yourself the best value you can find. I definitely recommend using code LYB. That'll get you 25% off your first month. Also gets you 7 free days if you want to trial it out for yourself, as this is, like I said, the most helpful platform that I have to help me with both the women and the men's games here. But kicking it off with the Pacers on offense and looking at Pascal, right? 19.5 points. The board's up at 7.5 now for about even money. And I can't get away from it with Pascal. I think the points are still going to be good. He only played 30 minutes in this last game, went 3 for 11, and still got pretty close to it, to the points, because he had 9 free throw attempts, right? And in the first game here, had 6 free throw attempts, just took a few more shots from the field, but he also got 5 more minutes. And if you think this game is going to be closer, then I think this is a good moment in time to be betting on Pascal. And my favorite reasoning for that is the splits here in the home and away. Again, don't always love to bring that up, but when you've got the disparity between in the playoffs, his points at home, which are at 22 per game, versus away, which are at 19.5 per game. And the overs here, right? 3 out of 10 on the road, over 19.5 versus 5 out of 8 when he's played at home. Nice average there. He's at 20.5 on in this playoffs as a whole in general. And the key thing here is when he's played the Thunder this season, there's been 2 blowouts and 2 close games, right? And I think the PR is the best bet here for Pascal. I was just showing you the points, but the boards have been really good consistently for him. Now I'm going to add the points because, again, he's been scoring more at home in the playoffs than on the road, but the boards are really what help you get over this. 7 rebounds in the last game on 11 chances, but again, just 30 minutes, and you have to project him for closer to high 30s if this game isn't basically over with in the fourth quarter. And I would argue, once again, they had an opportunity to come back down about 15 to 20 in the fourth quarter, chose not to, and just kind of gave up and rested guys. I don't think that's going to be anything close to the case here in game 3. Pascal should get up above 35 minutes in this game again, and the PR should be the best bet for him at 26.5 still available. That's about where I would take it. Been fading Tyrese Haliburton in this series, which is actually getting kind of chalky here. I think a lot of people are talking about going under on Tyrese, but I'm still looking at the 26.5. If you can get that for the points and assists, that's my favorite under. I'm not scared of adding the rebounds necessarily, but he did get 10 on 13 chances. And in the playoffs as a whole, has been really, really good on the boards, up at 5.8. He's guarding, right? We know he's guarding guys off ball like Kason Wallace for the most part, which is a big reason why he's in good position to get the boards. Plus, for OKC, they're actually bad against the rebounds for guards, right? They're in terms of defensive rank versus their position, they're bottom 10. They're second worst rebounding right now in the playoffs for OKC. So I'm leaving that one alone. But I think the points and the assists are the best way to go under on this. Head to head against this team, obviously in the playoffs, not coming close. In the regular season, didn't come close. Doesn't really seem to matter what the minutes are. They're focused on keeping him out of the paint, keeping him from having to shoot sort of contested threes. So I still am not liking the point. He's only had 13 shot attempts in both of the first 2 games. I expect that to continue to be the case. Another fade of the points and assists for Hallie. Been sort of encouraging people to go under on Miles Turner. I'm not really going to bet on him at this point. PR for him has actually been pretty good in this series against this team as a whole on the season, right? Averaging 20.8. That's about what his prop is at. In the last game, went under because he only got 4 boards on 11 rebound chances, 27 minutes, but he got the 16 points despite not barely hitting, right? He shot 12 shots, which is not great if you're looking for, that many points, and he's still getting there. So 13.5 is too low. This is a complete stay away from me. I wouldn't be fading Miles Turner at this point, but I'm just not going to bet on him at all. Nesmith is still an over, though. Points and rebounds combined for this man has been really, really good in this series. If you look at the last 2 games, 19 rebound chances and 9 in this last one, but just 26 minutes. Another guy who lost a few minutes in the fourth quarter because guys like Johnny Furphy were in with like 6 minutes left in the game, right? So they clearly gave up. Aaron Nesmith was another victim of that. His PR did go up a bit because he hit it once again with the 18, and I think he should be projected for close to 20. I still think he's going to be heavily involved in the offense. He's not afraid to shoot, as he took the 12 shots in this last game, took 9 in the prior game, but the boards really carried him. So I'm going to combine these 2 together again. He's just been such a consistent player in the playoffs as a whole. I mean, even the head-to-head be damned. In the playoffs, he's at 19.7 PR per game. At home, another really good opportunity for him to get big minutes. If he's going over 30 minutes again, I like him for closer to 20 PR in this game. Andrew Nembhard, you already know what it is. I like him again on the PA. I'm just going to keep hitting this. Now, he has a couple games in the playoffs where all of a sudden he just hits 2 games in a row, 4 games in a row right here against the Knicks, where he just sort of recedes a little bit, kind of fades, right? But he's still at 32 plus minutes. You can't get away from that. And in this last game, probably would have had 35, 36, but it wasn't close, right? So I think we should be expecting him to play 35, 36 consistently, as he's SGA's main defender, right? He's not going to be coming out unless he gets into foul trouble, which he got a little bit of in the first half last game. As far as the involvement, he's second on the team in touches to this point still, right? Even in this last game where he only took 8 shots and only had 5 potential assists, he still had like 62 touches, which is second to Hallie, who's at like 100. So obviously Halliburton's way more involved, but Nembhard is once again going to be that guy who either is bringing the ball up and setting the offense, or he's going to be the first pass once Halliburton or somebody gets double teamed. He's consistently available and playing up top to be that outlet. So I still think the shot attempts should reach double digits like they were in the first game. And I do think the assists, the potentials for him were really low in this last one. Getting back home here, I think he's going to get back to the double digit potentials again. So both the assists and the points are a good look for me. When you combine them here, that's the best play for Nemby. I got a lot of opinions in this one. So we're going to Obi here, and I'm going pretty much through this whole Pacers roster. Obi is still an under for me, but again, as I mentioned in the last video, I'm staying away from Obi because if he gets hot early or gets hot at any point, they're going to leave him in. But I did warn you guys against the over once again for him in this last one because 19 minutes versus 25, right? He had 19 in the last one because he wasn't hitting. He was 1 for 8 from the field. And if he's not hitting, he's not offering nearly as much on defense to sort of justify keeping him out there for extended minutes, right? And we also saw Benedict Mathurin play a lot better. Someone who cut into Obi's minutes. He played 22 in this one versus 16 in the prior game. And I was telling the folks in the VIP, like, I didn't bet on Benedict Mathurin, but I think this is the game we go back to 10 plus points for him because I do think this confirmed what I thought, which is Benny Matz looks like a really, really helpful player in this series because he's one of, if not the most athletic dude on this team. So he looks comfortable going to the bucket, did hit one of his 2 threes, but more importantly, got 7 free throws because he's aggressive, right? He's the most aggressive player outside of probably Pascal right now in terms of going to the rim. So I think he's going to get back up to 20 minutes. So if we give him 18 to 22 minutes in the playoffs, which is what I think we should be projecting for him right now, we're going to see he's hit over in all of those, right? 14 points per game, hit the 9 against the Knicks here in this game. But for the most part, if it's at 20 minutes, which is what this averages out to, then he's at about 14 points per game. If you look at this in the regular season as a whole, it's at 10.5. And this is what I care about, is that I think 10 plus, once again, is going to be good because of the volume for him, because I don't know how you watch Benedict Mathurin play against the Thunder and go, this dude should be on the bench more, right? Like, he's been so helpful as their best athlete. I think he gets back out there and gets a few more free throw attempts and hits a couple shots. Time to go back to TJ McConnell, somebody that we hit a ton in the playoffs and last year and in the playoffs this season. If we're looking at him in the playoffs this season right now, he's up at about 8.6 points. The dimes are up at about 4. And that's what we need from him, right? So he's at 10.5 PA combined. He's averaging 12.5. And there's also some really nice splits for him. If you look at him home versus away in the playoffs, 14.5 PA per game at home versus away 11. Again, doesn't always mean that much, but during the playoffs, it means more in terms of the home away. We know the crowd is going to be bringing it in every playoff game, especially the finals, right? This isn't the regular season anymore. So dudes like TJ McConnell definitely ride that momentum and have seemed to do that for the entirety of the playoffs. It's kind of crunch time, right? I do think he's going to continue to see 18 to 20 minutes. And in those 18 to 20 minutes, he's averaging like 45 touches, right? This fourth on the team, I believe, right behind Pascal, but he's playing 19 minutes with 44 touches, 51 in the prior game, right? So he's averaging like 48 touches per game in this series so far. I think he's going to continue to have that level of involvement, and he's been hitting some big buckets for them, taking 6, taking 7 in the last game, 6 in the first one. That should be good for about 10 points alone. So I love adding the assists and the points together for him in game 3. All right, let's jump into the Thunder and go ahead and give this video a like if you would. As we get into that, it goes a super long way to help the channel. So much appreciated if you guys are getting anything out of these breakdowns. Looking at SGA here in this game, I've got some notes on him. This PRA is stupid high, man. I mean, 47.5 is available to go under for him. I'm not in a rush to fade him, but I'm showing you how high this number is for a reason, right? Like, look at these playoff numbers here for him. Looking at consistent unders over in just 5 of 18 games on the 47.5 PRA. Went under in both of these games here in the first 2. Obviously came pretty close. You can make an argument he might have gotten to the 48 in this last one, but it's just too high of a number, man. Despite the high usage and everything else, it's a 60-minute basketball game. If a few other guys play a little bit better, this should go down a bit. So I don't really have much for him. I like fading the assists once again. I'll probably go back to the same bet that I tried in the last one, which was 30 plus points under on the dimes, because that was about to hit if Caruso didn't hit that last 3 with about 3 minutes left in the game to just ruin me in that one. So we're going to go back to a plus money, parlay here for him, negatively correlated to get 30 plus points and go under on the dimes. And if you're leaning anyway on the PRA, I would be going under. J-Dub is probably the main reason I'm not going under on SGA on the PRA as a whole, and I'll just run that same game parlay. Because I'm taking an under on him. Once again, you already know what it is. We're still getting 32.5 on the PRA. It was 34.5 game 1, 33.5 game 2, and he's not really coming close to hitting that, right? If you look at him in the playoffs as a whole, he's at 31.1, and things are just getting tighter and tighter. These totals at 228.5 feels pretty high for a finals game, despite the way that these two teams want to play. It's just getting too tight to just expect guys to stay loose and hit as many shots as they did, say, in game 2 for the Thunder especially. So for J-Dub, I don't know why we would continue to think he's not going to get under 30 PRA, which is something that he's done against this team, by the way, every game this season as well. And all 4 of those averaging 27.8 PRA. Big reason for that is the rebound chances are not coming for him. The free throw attempts are not coming for him. And he's got a really, really tough matchup here with Aaron Nesmith, right? This dude has just been glued to him for most of the game. When Aaron Nesmith has been guarding him in this series so far, he has 6 points in about 8 minutes of offense, where Aaron Nesmith is clearly the primary defender on J-Dub. Aaron Nesmith had a little bit of questionableness coming into the series about whether he was fully healthy. Looks perfectly fine to me, and I think he's going to continue to limit J-Dub. So we're going back to the under here on 32.5 PRA. Chet would be an under for me again, but these points got low, man. And the rebounds as well, down to 7.5. You are getting plus money. I would take the under on the 8.5, by the way. I just don't really feel the need to come in and bet on Chet after he had 17 rebound chances in this last game. But if I am going to bet on him, the rebounds probably leave the points out of it, because 14.5, man, for a dude who's, even in the playoffs, he's at about, 16 or so. Where's he at in the playoffs here? He's at 15.8 in the regular season as well. That was basically his points per game average. Once you dip under the 15 number for Chet, now it's like, all right, he can hit enough of these to get there. The rebounds are what I really like the under on the most. So questionable if I will add the assists and go under on the RA, right? That doesn't really get us too much. It's 9.5. I think that's probably a good look as well. But rebounds under, rebounds and assists under, I think both of those are the way to go. Leave the points out of it, as they've gotten really low for him at 14.5. Not sure how you'd bet anything but over for Alex Caruso. Has not had the RA as much in this series here. You can see just 2-1 assists, 6 and 3 on the boards in the first 2 games. But the points, he's taking the shots, man, right? 8 shots in game 1 and then 11 in game 2. Plus he got the 4 free throw attempts game 2, 5 free throw attempts in game 1. So Alex Caruso is heavily involved in the offense. He's played 28 and 27 minutes. I think that's where he lives now, right? Especially as this man, Lou Dort, kind of goes hand in hand with a Caruso over, is a Lou Dort under, right? And so if you do like the Dort under and maybe under on the minutes as well, right? Just 26 in this last one, I think he and Caruso are going to be close to the same amount of time on the floor, especially because when you look at Lou in the playoffs on the road, it is wild. We keep talking about it, but he's at 5 a game, man. He's only gone over this 7.5 or even this 8.5 number once against the Nuggets here, where he went 4 for 9 from the field in that one in just 21 minutes. Don't want to bank on him doing that once again, especially because this team is going to be a lot better at limiting Lou Dort, the Pacers are, than the Nuggets were, right? The Pacers don't give up the catch and shoot. That's what he does. The Nuggets were horrible against the catch and shoot. So it makes sense that was the one time he went over in the playoffs on the road. But this is an auto fade for Lou Dort on the road, on the points. So if you do like that, like I said, pretty heavily correlated with Caruso to get another 10 plus points in game 3. Last one I'm looking at is iHeart. I think the PR are still good at about 14.5. I know I said I didn't like that and I only like the rebounds in the last game. Now that we're at 7.5 for plus money, I can go either way. I'm still not totally against the PR. In this last game, only had the 2 shots, but I mean, in the first game had 5 of them and three free throws, so really about 7 shot attempts. To get 6.5 points for this dude who's going up against a team that can't guard down low, as we know, and he's shooting basically 100% of his shots inside the paint with that floater game, and obviously layups when he can get them. So not totally scared of the points. I think if you are going to take anything for him, make sure you get the rebounds in there, but the PR is also an over for me. I think we got to consistently see him back up at 20 plus minutes as opposed to the 17 that he played in game 1. All right, that is all the time we have for you in this one. Quick reminder, got all the links you need in the description of the video, including a link directly to the WNBA season pass for those of y'all who want to tail all of the WNBA bets that we've got coming this season. Best of luck here in game 3. Until I see you next, happy betting.